Wanya, loud over here.
Okay. All right, welcome everyone. As we are sponsored by A.B. Spry for Shalema of Taiba Reis of Hinda and for great Zivugim for his daughter and grandchildren. We're also sponsored by Shelley Zeitlin for the schus of his children, Eli, Orit, and Ora, and for Shalema for Shimon and Sarah Miriam, and Moshe Meir ben Esther Fradel. We're sponsored for the physical, spiritual, and emotional protection for Yeshua Menachem Mendel, Ben Bela, Shendel, Rivka. And we are holding on the bottom line of Mem Zayin Amid Beis, bottom line of Mem Zayin Amid Beis, Mosiv Rav Huna Bar Yehuda. We remember we're discussing the subject of where we had contradictory testimony. So here we talk about a situation where we have people coming to give testimony about the new moon. So Echadaimer Gavaya Beis Mardois. One said that, and of course this is, as it appears to the human eye. So Baruch Ian says that the moon looks like it was 2 ox goads above the horizon. And the Echreimer and Shalom Fogel says it was 3 ox goads above the horizon. Now, this is estimation. So in such a close estimation, we say they can make a mistake. So Eidus and Kayemes, we uphold their testimony. But Echadai Gimel, but if Baruch says it was 3 ox goads above the horizon, the Echadai Hey, and Shalom says it's 5, Eidus and Betela. The Eidus is disqualified, and we say that one of them is lying. But a mitzdarfin la'edus acheres. But they could combine, Baruch and Shalom could give testimony for something else. So my lav la'edus moment isn't that talking about that they could be mitzdarf for an edus to be mitzi moment away from someone, which is shver to Rav Chisda. Rav Chisda said, "Ba'adi shakrei, sadei shakrei lamali." What are we doing with such false witnesses? Amarava, no, it means hu va'achar, Shalom and Yaakov Warman, or Baruch Ian and Yaakov Warman, mitzdarfin la'edus acheres shel Reish Chodesh. They could be mitzdarf for another testimony about Reish Chodesh. Why? Because in that case, dahavali trei v'chad. Here you have Yaakov saying it's a good testimony, and Shalom saying it's a good testimony. So even though Baruch went against Shalom, it's 2 against 1, and therefore we're not Geras Baruch b'makom shnayim. When there's 2 people that say that the moon now was in a certain place, we trust Shalom and Yaakov, and we accept the testimony. Now, let me start welcoming in people. It's great to have Irving Fishbaum with us, and Saba, and Baruch Ian, and Robert Kranz. It's good to have you back. Dr. Guy, Yitzi Fuchs with new background, Yaakov Warman, Mel Zachter, Shalom Fogel, Shimon Klein, Shelley Zeitlin, who's in the spaceship, Nachum Umansky, Michal, Marshall Castle, Nachman Chapler, Naftali Jablin, Yitzi Mully, Yeshua Shmuel Eisenberg, Ilya Shutman, as we learned, Farus Bas Eugene, Abe Arbach, Danny Vogel. Here in Shul, we have Avram Rezepkowitz, Chaim Kramer, Michal Avram, and Ruvain Shannon back at his post. We welcome in David Helfgott on Kol Lashon, and we continue. And I will tell you, Rabbi Isai, that after tomorrow you could breathe a big sigh of relief. This is by far the hardest Masechta in many Masechtas to come. I mean, people get scared. Kachim, they hear Kachkin, but Zvachim and Menachos is not hard, and Avodah Zarah is not hard. So we have some easy terrain going to. Okay, so we'll stone marshal a few times, but that's okay. It's
just don't worship me like the Baal or
Marshal, you have nothing to worry. Nobody here is going to worship you in any way, shape, or form. Now, okay, Amal Lechenveni, if I tell the storekeeper, Tainli bedinner Paris, I tell the storekeeper, give me a dinner's worth of fruit, and he measures it out to me, and then he says, give me the dinner, and I say that I already gave it to him. Again, I tell Marshall, I want for a dinner fruit. So Marshall measures me out the fruit, and I say, and he asks me, give me my dinner, and I say that I already gave it to you. So the Mishnah says that I swear that I already gave it to him. So Rabbi Yehuda says, when do I have to swear? That's only when I admit that I gave him some of it. But if that's only where I admit I gave him some, and I admit that I didn't give him all of it. But if I say I gave it to him, so I don't have to swear, because storekeepers don't give the fruit until they get their money. So Tanya, Amr Rabbi Yehuda Emasai, Bizman Shaperis Tzavurin Umunochin, where the fruit is piled between us, Ushneyen Oyrin Aleihen, and we're both arguing about it. Aval Hifshilan B'Kupaisai La'achurav, but if I took the fruit already, and now Marshall wants his money, Hamaitz Mechavel Varaya, and I don't even have to swear. Now, the next case is with a money changer. Marshall has many hats. Amar Shulchani Tainli Bedinner Mois. I tell Marshall, give me change for a dinner. Marshall gives me the change and then asks me for the dinner. So I say I gave it to him already. So the Mishnah Rabbanan say, I swear that I gave it to him already, and then I don't have to give it to him. Rabbi Yehuda says, when do I have to swear? Where I admit partially. But if I don't admit it, I don't admit to anything, then it's not the derech of Marshall to give change until he gets the dinner. V'tzricha. They have to argue in both cases. Because Iyashmin on Hakamaisa in the first case, that's because Bahak Amri Rabbana, in this case the Rabbanan say that I have to swear that I already gave the dinner. Why? Mishum de Pere of de Demirkave. Leaving fruit out, it could start spoiling, it could start attracting bugs. So therefore it could be that Marshall gave it to me before I paid. V'keven Demirkave loy mashule. He doesn't hold it until I give him the money. Aval mois, money, deloy mirkave, aim a maidalei the Rabbi Yehuda that a shvuah isn't necessary, because Marshall won't give me the change until I give him the money. V'iyam abaha, and if it only says the case of the money, ba'akam Rabbi Yehuda, because money doesn't rot. Ava bahach, but by Paris, Ema Maidel Rabbanan, and therefore Tzricha. Kishem she'amru apoigemes ksuvasa. Just like it says that if a woman admits to collecting some of her ksuva, she can't collect the rest unless she swears. V'cheina yisoymim lo yiparu. Orphans can't collect except with a shvuah. So now this is very ambiguous. What's the case over here? Who are the orphans collecting from? Maman. Ilay Mamalayva, if they're collecting from Shmuel, who's the person that their father gave the loan to, and they have a shtar from their father, why should they have to swear? Avu and Shakal B'loi Shvua, their father collected without a Shvua, because he had a shtar. V'inu b'Shvua? Why should they need a Shvua? No. The plot thickens. Here, what happened was Chatzkel gave a loan to Shmuel. Now Chatzkel's dead, and Shmuel is also dead. So orphans are collecting from orphans. Orphans from orphans, lo yifru ela b'shvua. They could only collect with a shvua. Now we're really going to start getting technical. Put on your thinking caps, Rabbi Isai, because now we're really going to start getting technical. Rav Shmuel Dimrei Travayu, lo shanu. Remember, it's Chatzkel that gave a loan to Shmuel. So Chatzkel is the malveh, is the lender. Shmuel is the borrower. Lo yishanu ela shemeis malveh b'chaye loiva. Chatzkel died while Shmuel, the borrower, is still alive. Aval meis loiva b'chaye malveh. But if Shmuel, the borrower, died while Chatzkel is alive, so Chatzkel became chayiv in a shvua, because when he wants to collect, ein goyven minichse yisaymim ela b'shvua. So Chatzkel became chayiv to make a shvua to the orphans of Shmuel. So Kfar Nischayev Malva Lebnei Loiva Shvua. He became Chayev to Shmuel's Yisaymim, a Shvua. Now when then Chatzkel also dies, his Yisaymim inherited a need to make a Shvua to the Yisaymim of Shmuel. But the Yisaymim can't make a Shvua, because they can't swear that they know that their father wasn't paid. He can't transmit a shvua to his children. And Rav and Shmuel are of the opinion that since Chatzkel's Yisaymim can't swear, they can't collect. It's a very strong opinion of Rav and Shmuel's. Now, this was a famous Rav and Shmuel that we learned earlier. Shalchua Kamei de Rabbi Elazar, they sent this question to Rabbi Elazar, Shvua zu mativa. What's the nature of this shvua? In this case, where Chatzkel, the Malva, died after Shmuel the Leva died. So Chatzkel already became chayiv to swear to the Yisayimim in order to collect. And now Chatzkel dies. Shalach lahu, so Rabbi Lazar disagrees with Rav and Shmuel. Rabbi Lazar sent to them Yoshin Nishban Shavuos Yoshin V'Neitlin. The Yoshin could swear the Shavuah of ears. In other words, they could swear that our father, before his death, did not inform us that the debt was paid already, and there are no papers that say that the debt was paid, and then they could collect. So Shalchua, they sent again the question to Eretz Yisrael, Bimei Rabbi Ami, during the lifetime of Rabbi Ami. Amar, so he said, Kula hai sholcha lava azlei, why do you keep on sending a question about this? I ashkechina bataima, if we would have found another argument, miloi shalchina lo. However, ela amar Rabbi Ami, hayil va'asa liyadan nema bo milsa, will say an interesting thing. Amad bedin umeis, if let's say Chatzkel went to court to collect from the Yisayimim. In other words, Chatzkel is the Malva. While he was alive, he went to court to collect. Umeis, and then he died. Since Kfar Nischayev Malva Lebnei Loiva Shvua, since he was already required to make a full oath that the debt wasn't paid, the Ein Adam Meir Shvua Labanav, and he cannot transmit that shvua to his children because there's no way the children who didn't know the affairs of the father could make such an oath. And since that oath was already chayiv, because it was Amad Bedin, so they can't collect the money. Lo Amad Bedin, but in a case where Chatzkel died and he didn't stand in court, Umeis, and he died, then Yoshin Ishban Shavuos Yoshim, it's enough for Chatzkel's children to swear the Shavuah of a Yoshin that our father never told us that it was paid, and there's no papers that it was paid, V'Noitlan. So Rav Nachman doesn't like this logic. Maskeflo Rav Nachman, Otu Beidino Kamachai V'Lei Shavuah? Is it Bezdin that's Machayev a Shavuah? Me'idna de Shochiv Loiva, as soon as Shmuel died, and now it's the property of Yisayimim, Ichayev le'malva lebnei Loiva Shvuah. The Chatzkel became chayiv to swear. Ela Amar Rav Nachman, I isa l'derava de Shmuel, if we hold like Rav and Shmuel, that you can't be Meirish a Shvuah to your children, and it's not enough of a Shavuos Yoshin, Isa. Ilesa, if we don't hold it, we don't hold of it. Says the Gemara, Alma Misafkale? Do you mean that he holds that it's a suffix whether we say like Rav or Shmuel or not? V'amar Rav Yosef ben Minyami Ovid Rav Nachman Uvda Yachloiku. Rav Nachman doesn't hold of Rav and Shmuel. Rav Nachman holds that if there's a situation, which we remember that Marshall was supposed to swear, but he can't swear because he's a gambler, and I can't swear because I testified falsely. So we don't say that since Marshall can't swear, he has to pay. We don't say Chazar Shmuel. We say that we divide it. So you see that he doesn't hold like Rav and Shmuel. Says the Gemara, what it means that he's mesupik, it means l'devar of the Rameir Kamer. He meant he's mesupik about the interpretation of the Shita of Rameir. Now, this is taking us back to what we learned earlier. It says that according to Rav Meir, the shvuah returns to its place. If both Marshall and I can't swear, so the Shua returns to its place, and there's a shaila what Rav Meir meant. Does it mean that the Shua returned to Sinai? And that means that that nobody has to swear, and therefore since nobody has to swear, so then Marshall doesn't have to pay? Or does it mean that the Shua returns to Marshall who originally had to swear, and since he can't swear, he can't pay? He has to pay. That is what Rav Nachman was mesupik about. The dvar the Rav Meir kamalei, but the leiloi svirulei, he doesn't hold like Rav Meir. So now, Eddie just came in, and Naftali Jablin just came in. Oh, Barry Cement is here. Barry, better late than never.
Where are we up to, please, Rabbi?
Talmud Bavli.
Huh?
Talmud Bavli. Masechta Shavuos.
Oh, I'm so far good.
The middle.
Yeah.
3 lines from the bottom of Memches. Now I lost him.
You didn't tell which side of Memches.
All right, look for a verse here.
Now,
Thank you.
actually, it's not 3 lines from the bottom. It's 6 lines from the bottom. Okay. Mosiv Rav Oshia. So now, again, we're attacking Rav and Shmuel. Mosiv Rav Oshia. Mesa, if the wife dies, now the husband had already either divorced her or died, so if the wife dies, Yorshin Maskirin es Ksuvasa ad Esim v'Chamei. They could collect their mother's ksuva for 25 years. If they don't collect it after 25 years, they forfeit the right. But until 25 years, they could collect. Now the question is, how could they collect? If their mother would collect, she would have to swear that she didn't get anything. And they can't make such a shvua, so how could they collect? So according to Rav and Shmuel, since they can't swear, and in on the Moira Shmuel Labanah, they shouldn't be able to collect. Says the Gemara, she swore that she didn't get anything, and she died. That's why they're able to collect. Tajma. Now here we have Chatzkel marries 2 wives. Nasri Shaina, he marries Sarah, Umesa, and Sarah dies. Now that means that Sarah is not entitled to ksuva because she predeceased her husband. But there is a ksuvas benin dichrin that if the husband died and the children of the 2 sets of the wives each get the ksuva of their mother. So, okay, but I'm getting ahead of ourselves. Nasa Rishayna Umesa. Ruvain married Sarah and she died. Nasa Shnia. He then married Dinah. Umeis who? And he died. So now Dinah is entitled to an actual ksuva. The children of Sarah are only entitled to ksuvas b'nin dichron. So Shnia v'Yoshea, Dinah, and her Yoshim, Kaidmin Yoshea Rishayim, come before the ksuvas b'nin dichron. Ksuvas b'nin dichron is only a Dinah Yerusha. The actual ksuva of Dinah is Bal Chayv. But it says that her Yoshim also could get a ksuva. But how could her Yoshim get a ksuva? They can't swear that she didn't get it. Says the Gemara, Hachanami shenishbo meisa, that Dinah swore before she died. Now, Tashma. And this again is what's so hard about these Gemaras, is it's putting us in the middle of a sugya. Over there it teaches us that the husband could stipulate that I exempt my wife and her heirs from needing to make a shvuah if they come to collect. Now if he says that I exempt my wife and the heirs, or anyone else, maybe that bought the rights, to need to make a ksuva, they're exempted. But if the wife dies, the heir will have to make a shvuah. Aval Yorushav, but they're only exempt to swear to him. Aval Yorushav, but his heirs, Mashbiyan Oisa, he could ask from a shvuah from her, Ve'es Yorsheha, or from her heirs, Ve'es Habon B'Rishusa, or those that come empowered by her. So the question is, so here we're seeing that since it says that his Yorshin could demand a shvuah from her Yorshim, so it's talking about where she didn't swear before she died. And yet it says that he could demand a shvuah from her Yorshim. So that means that they swear a shvuas Yorshim, because they can't swear for sure that the mother didn't get the money. So they could just swear that the mother didn't tell him. So Amar Rav Shmaya, so Rav Shmaya says, well, over here we're going to have to do some fancy cut work. Liktstadin Katani. Oisa, the Yoshim could demand a shvuah from her, Ba'almana, where she's a widow. The Yorsheha, and when it says the heirs, it means Begrusha. It means that they could demand a oath from the divorcee. In other words, if he divorced her, so if he divorced her, so if he divorced her, so the Yorshim could demand a shvuah from her or from her Yorshim or from her heirs. Now, why is that better? Why is that better? Because if the Grusha predeceased the husband, in other words, he divorced her, and she predeceased the husband, so she never became chayiv in the shvuah. She never became chayiv in the shvuah. See, by an almana you can't say that, because obviously the husband is dead. But by grusha, it's talking about, that's how it's the Yersheh, don't have to make a shvuah according to Rav and Shmuel. Because what happened over here was, it's a really, really funny case. What happened was, Reuven divorced Sarah. And then Sarah dies. And then Reuven dies. So then her Yorshim can collect from the Yorshim of Reuven, because their mother was never mechayiv. Their mother was never chayiv to make a shvuah, because when she was alive, her husband was alive. so she could collect without a ksuva, shvua. So in that case, the Yoshim never got a Yerusha of a shvua from their mother. So therefore now they could just swear that they just weren't told by the mother that she was paid the ksuva, and they could collect. So now, Mosiv Rav Nosson bar Oishia, Yafa koyach haben mikoyach ha'av. The power of a son is more than the power of a father. Shaben, a son, could be goiva bein b'shvua, bein shaloi b'shvua. A son could collect with a shvua and without a shvua. Va'av, a father, ein a goiva ela b'shvua. So again, the son has more power than the father because the son could collect with a shvua and without a shvua. But a father can only collect with a shvua. So how does that work? Heichi dami. So again over here, the meis loiva b'chaye malva. Here it's talking about where the loiva died, Shmuel died, during the lifetime of the father. So the father, Chatzkel, who's the borrower, he can't collect from Yisayimim except with a shvua. Ein nifram nechse yishvam el b'shvua. Ukitani shaben, but Chatzkel's son, goiva bein b'shvua, bein shaloi b'shvua. What does that mean? B'shvua, it means shvuas yorshin. He has to swear that his father does not owe him, he did not tell him anything before he died. Shaloi b'shvua, but he could collect without a shvua. That's Reb Shimon Gamliel. Reb Shimon Gamliel holds that if the father said before he died that if the father said before he died that the debt wasn't paid, so then the children do not have to swear at all. So again, Shaben goiva bein b'shvua bein shaloi b'shvua. B'shvua means shvuas yorshin, that they could swear that their father did not tell us anything before he died that the debt was paid, or we didn't find any papers in the house that the debt was paid. Shaloi b'shvua, and there are times that they could collect even without a shvua. Reb Shimon Gamliel. Reb Shimon Gamliel holds that if the father, when he died, said that the debt wasn't paid, so then they could collect without a shvua. So we see over here that clearly not like Rav and Shmuel. Because Rav and Shmuel say that if the father was chayiv already to make an oath, then you can't be moirish such an oath to the children, and a shvuas yorshin is not enough, and they can't collect. So Amar Rav Yosef, so Rav Yosef says, Hamani Beis Shammai. This is going according to Beis Shammai. He holds that since the father had a shtar, which is ready to be collected, since it's ready to be collected, it's as if it's collected. And therefore, Beis Shammai say that they wouldn't have to swear if the father made such a statement. Ikla Rav Nachman l'Sura. Rav Nachman visited Surah. Ul legabei Rav Chisda v'Rabba bar Avuna. Remember, Rav Nachman was a very big dayan. Dayahu. V'yarid l'umka dedina. So it was a big deal that Rav Nachman visited Surah, and they wanted to utilize the opportunity to set certain halachas. So Ikmar Rav Nachman l'Surah, Ol legabei Rav Chisda v'Rabba bar Avuna. Amru lei, they said to him, Lei simar na'akra laha de Rav Shmuel. Let the master uproot the halacha of Rav and Shmuel that the orphans, since they cannot swear like their fathers would have sworn, that they know that the father didn't get paid, so they can't collect. So let's uproot that and say that a Shavuos Yorshin is sufficient. That all they have to swear is their father didn't tell us that it was paid. Amalahu, so he said to them, did I come all of this distance? Did I travel all of this way? To uproot Rav and Shmuel? That's not why I traveled. Ella, what I will do is, we won't add to Rav and Shmuel's chumrah. We'll say it only applies to where they said it. We won't add to it. Says the Gemara Kagoin Mai, what would be an example of where we're adding to it? As we welcome in Mo Kushner for our 25th Zoomer of this late evening, and this very hard Gemara. So Kagoin Mai, and by the way, Rabbi say, learning in Shas doesn't get much harder than this. Back and forth and up and down. Says the Gemara, Kigoin Mai. What's an example that we're not going to add on Rav and Shmuel? The Amara Papa, Hapoigem es Shtoroi. If, let's say, Barry has an IOU note. Not Barry, Chatzkel has an IOU note, and he admits that some of it was paid. Umeis. Now, normally, you can't collect with a shtar that you blemished by saying that part of it was paid, except for a shvuah. But Chatzkel died. Yorshin Nishban Shvuas Yorshin. The Yorshin could just swear that our father didn't tell us that the rest of it was paid. V'noitlen. So that would be an example of where we don't say like Rav and Shmuel that the father transmitted them a shvuah, and since they can't make the shvuah because they can't say for sure that the father wasn't paid the rest, they can't make it. We don't say that. That would be advancing Rav and Shmuel's din to another place. We don't do that. Now, Hahud Shachiv. What happened is Ishmael, who'd owed money, died. Vishavik Arva. But he left Marshall as a guarantor. Aha. So Shmuel died, he owed the money. He left Marshall as a guarantor. Now what happened over here is, so we have to thicken the plot over here. What happened is that Chatzkel, who was the lender, Chatzkel died. So now the assignment for them to collect from Shmuel, they can't collect from Shmuel or Shmuel's children because they can't make a shvuah according to Rav and Shmuel. Because Rav and Shmuel say that father transmitted them a shvuah, and they can't make it because they can't say that their father wasn't paid. But they want to collect from the guarantor. to the guarantor, they don't have to make a guarantor, they don't have to make a shvuah. They have to make a shvuah to the Yarshim. But they want to collect from Marshall. Says the Gemara, let's see it inside. Savara papa lemeimer hanami deloy loisif alohu, and we let them collect for Marshall. Says the Gemara, I don't understand. What do you think Marshall is going to do? Marshall is going to go and collect back from the Yarshim. Because, he was the guarantor. He could collect back from the children of the Leiva. So Amalei Rafun Bered Rabbi Shmuel Papa Atu Arva Lav Basu Yasmei Ozel. Isn't the Marshal going to go after the orphans? So therefore it's anyway like it's collecting from the orphans. So it's not an advancement of Rav and Shmuel, but it's actually the same thing as Rav and Shmuel's case, and that is to go and collect from the orphans. And since there was a chiyuv of a shvuah inherited from the malva, Rav and Shmuel say they can't make a shvuah and they can't collect. Now another case. Ha'ud shachiv. Here, the lender dies, Shmuel dies, v'shavik acha, and he leaves a brother. So, what happens over here is that, no, here, see how complicated these Gemaras are? This is not Shmuel that dies. This is yeah, I remembered when I prepared this, I said to myself, I'm going to make a mistake when I say this. Here, we're talking about the Malva. Ruvain gave a loan to Shmuel. And Ruvain dies. His heir is his brother Shimon. So Ahud the Shachav, Ruvain dies, the Shavik Acha, and he leaves a brother Shimon. Now, the brother produces a IOU note, which he inherited from his brother. Shimon produces an IOU note, but the loiva is dead. So he produces it against the orphans. So here again, we have a situation that the brother can't swear whether his dead brother paid it or not, got paid or not. He could only swear that his dead brother didn't tell him that it was paid already. That's a Shavuos Yarshim. So the Gemara says, well, maybe this is an advancement of the case of Rav and Shmuel. Rav and Shmuel said it by Yarshim. He didn't say it by a brother. So this is also an example of not adding to it. Rava said, what's the difference? Mali shaloi pikadani abba. What's the difference? If it would be the Yarshim, they would swear that our father didn't tell us. Or Mali, or in this case, it's shaloi pikadani ochi. My brother didn't tell me. Either case, Rav and Shmuel say that you're not allowed to do that because they inherited a shvuah to swear that I didn't get paid, and since they can't make that shvuah, they can't collect. Amra Papa, Hashdadol yet my hilchas like Rav Shmuel, the like Rebbe Lazar. Since the halacha was not said either like Rav and Shmuel, that since the Yarshim can't swear, they can't collect, or like Rebbe Lazar, that say it's enough for the Yarshim to swear a Shavuos Yarshim, that our father didn't tell us that it was paid, and there was no paper found that it was paid. Hi dana the Ovid Karav Shmuel Ovid. If a judge does like Rav and Shmuel, it's good. The Ovid Rebbe Lazar Ovid. If he does like Rebbe Lazar, it's also good. Amar Papa. So therefore, Rav Papa says, "Hai shtora di yasme," an IOU note inherited by Yisayimim. Loi mikra karinale, we don't tear it up. V'lei agvuya magvinale, we don't collect. Agvuya loi magvinale, why? Because still must be along Perav Shmuel. That since they can't swear like their father, they can't collect. However, mikra loi karinale, we don't tear it up. Daina David Rabbi Lazar of it, because if you're passing like Rabbi Lazar, it's okay. How Daina David Rabbi Lazar? A judge did like Rabbi Lazar and let the Yarshim swear that our father did not give us instruction that it was paid, and then allowed them to collect from the Yarshim. Have a Mitzvah Rabbanim B'Maseh. There was a young Talmudic scholar in the neighborhood. Amalei Aisini Gartam Imarava. He said to the judge, "I'll bring a letter from Eretz Yisrael to Les Hilchas like Rebbe Lazar, that the law is not like Rebbe Lazar." Amalei, so the Dayan said, "L'chi taisig, when you bring the letter, I'll see." Also the Kami to Rebbe Chama. So then the scholar went to Rebbe Chama. Amalei, so he said, "No, the judge is in his rights. Haidana David Rebbe Lazar of it. If he passes like Rebbe Lazar, it's good." One more Gemara, Rabbi say. One more Gemara. I don't want to leave too much for tomorrow. One more Gemara. The Elu Nishband. We learned that the following swear even without a certain time. So the Gemara says, do we swear, our fools swear even if there's no claim? You could demand the shvua even if you don't have a certain claim. You could say, "Look, we were partners. I want you to swear that you didn't have sticky fingers." I don't have to make a claim. I don't have to say, "You took this from me." Ela b'tayna shema. I could ask for a uncertain claim. Hashutfin v'arisen, whether partners or whether sharecroppers. And it also says, also a ben bias. Also, if there was an older son who took care of the estate of his brothers, they could ask that he swear. However, the Gemara now modifies this. Tana ben bias she'amru loishin nichnas v'yotze b'raglav. Not just that he came in and out of the house, just inspecting the property. Ela machnis le'payalin amaitzi le'payalin. He brought in workers, paying them from the money of the estate. Dismissed workers, machnis le'payris, bought produce, amaitzi le'payris, and sold produce. Says the Gemara, Maishna Hani. Why in this case can these people be asked to swear? Mishum demora b'hetera, because they are likely to be moira. Look, since I did all of this service for the estate, I can keep a few things for myself, which you can't. But since he could be moira b'heter, so therefore he could be asked to swear. Amar Rav Yosef bar Minyumi, Amar Rav Nachman, v'hu sheyesh taina beinayu shtei kesef. That's only if the matter involves at least 2 silver ma. Says the Gemara, Kaman Kishmuel. That's like Shmuel, that says as long as the full amount is 2 silver ma, even if the claim is for less, there's still a chiyuv of a shvuah. Vatani Rav Chia l'siyuei l'Rav. Rav Chia teaches a proof to Rav that says that the claim has to be for 2 silver ma. Says Gemara, Ema kfiras taina. It means the claim has to be at least for the amount of 2 silver ma. Karav, like the opinion of Rav. We're going to stop over here, Rabbi Say. We now have the pleasure of a wonderful chumash here.